So, today I want to talk about the role that letting go and surrender played in my recovery journey. And it really was important in a lot of different aspects. So, briefly, things were at their worst when I was really trying to hold on to the life I had before I became sick. So, when I was comparing, my situation at that time to what things had been like before the whole chronic illness had started, that's when things were at their worst, when I was, comparing like that. When I finally let go and accepted that things had changed, for whatever reason, but I wasn't going to live that life anymore. I had to let go of it in order to recover. And in some way, I had to embrace my new life. I had to accept and embrace the opportunities, and it may not seem like that when you're struggling with an illness like long COVID or chronic fatigue or whatever the chronic illness is. It may not seem like it's presenting you with opportunities, but for me it really was, and I just had to let go and embrace what was happening. So what this looked like for me was letting go of all the things that I thought I should be doing with my life, and just accepting as it was. Stop not thinking about my future and, oh, how am I going to carry on with my studies now? Or how am I going to, whatever, become a successful, whatever it was, whether it was, wanting to exercise or career based or work based, whatever. When I was really struggling, that wasn't even on the cards, but I was still, so concerned about it. But once I just let go of it and was like, okay, whatever, like this is my life now. This is what I'm dealing with. Let's follow this where it goes. And yeah, that was extremely important. And what ended up happening was I had to let go of everything and let go of trying to have social interactions. I mean, not that it's a bad thing to have social interactions, but that was the thing that was causing me a lot of pain and suffering as well, was wishing, I was very alone during all of this, and like reflecting on that, like, oh, I've got nobody to, because at the beginning of this, I ended a relationship that I'd been in for 3 years, so I was dealing with all of that, and for the first time, I was really alone for the first time in a long time, and, I wasn't really able to socialize with any friends, and it was difficult to connect with other people. So yeah, I was really alone, and I also just had to embrace that. So I ended up spending like a lot of the time I was at home with my family, but once I kind of got my head in the right space about recovery and really took responsibility and realized that I can recover, but I've got to do what I need to do. I ended up moving to live on my own. So for like 3 months, I was pretty much on my own. I wasn't seeing anybody. And it was a challenge at first. It was scary at first for a couple of reasons. There's the fear of, will I be able to cope on my own? Will I be able to do all the like tasks of daily living that I need to do, and that kind of thing. So yeah, it was like putting myself in that challenging position, but I knew that it needed to be done, and it was the right thing. And when I had the space to myself, then, as I said, I just had to embrace where this illness was taking me in some sense. And for a long time, I'd realized that meditation was one of the things that really helped me with symptoms. Like, it helped to calm the nervous system on the one level, and on the other level, it was helping me in a much deeper way as I was, learning to turn inwards and investigate like thoughts in my mind, and how it all works, and like, seeing through the illusion of thoughts, I guess, the suffering that believing thoughts creates, and all of that kind of thing. So I started to take meditation quite seriously. I realized that this was really important for me, and there was like truth in this. Like, I'd always been searching for, even while I was really struggling, what the opportunities that this illness presented me with was like an opportunity to follow what felt important to me. So I let go of my relationship, my friendship, stopped pretending to be somebody to fit in with everybody else and just focus where I felt like I needed to focus. And I became very curious about my existence, I suppose, because I was suffering so much. You know, it really put me in touch with, well, why? Why am I here, you know? And then meditation became a way to explore that, to explore my experience of being conscious of existing. So once I let go of all of those other things that were causing me to suffer and just, you know, I was on my own, I kind of embraced my situation. I was like, you know what, I'm on my own. I can just spend this time to learn more about meditation. So I read a couple of really good books. Just before this, I'd been on a meditation retreat, which was really helpful because it helped me to like deepen my meditation practice, and it really helped. It was a really good experience, like coming away from it, how much clearer and calmer my mind was. But it was also a difficult one because when I came back, like I had a big crash afterwards, so it was a confusing time. But anyways, I was using that time to myself to, as I said, just really embrace this. And yeah, I started meditating quite a lot because it was almost like that's all I was left to do. You know, I couldn't go out and socialize. I couldn't go out and exercise. I wasn't working at the time. I wasn't able to study anymore. I'd had to drop out. So all of that, like I was left with only one thing, and that was to just like sit with myself and, you know, explore that. So that's really what I did. And it even got to the point where this became bigger than recovering from the chronic illness. You know, it got to a point where obviously that was like what I really needed, but it wasn't my focus anymore. It was like, okay, whatever, like I give up. but not entirely, but like I would stop trying to control everything and I just focused on, I wasn't fighting it anymore. I was just like, this is what's happening now, and I'm going to use this opportunity where I'm left to sit with myself to just sit and meditate and inquire into my identity, into my beliefs, into that kind of stuff. And that's when things started to change a lot for me. I was still, because all the meditation was really helping. Like it really calmed my nervous system and it gave me the space to do all the other practices that I've spoken about in other videos, where I was able to, when symptoms came on, I had that space to react in, where I could notice the fear coming up and the unconscious loops that had been like leading to crashes. Like for me, I learned that it was all like my nervous system's reaction to perceived threats. Like that was the illness for me. I know it was. Like I remember at times I was doing so much research and trying to figure out if it's like, you know, some mitochondrial, you know, all of those like physical little things that can only be fixed by somebody else. But I came to a point where I knew that wasn't the case. It was like a nervous system thing. And yeah, the meditation and embracing the solitude, I suppose, really gave me the space to recover. And all of that time on my own and in silence, I was really able to get enough space to no longer be caught in those thought loops, in those reactions that were keeping me stuck. But I had to let go of a lot, and it's not easy. And I had to embrace the emotions and, you know, where the illness was taking me. And it got to a point where it became so transformative to me. Like the whole time I was going through this, I knew that it was a good thing. Maybe I didn't always remember it. Like there definitely were months where it was really hellish and I just wanted to give up, and I really didn't want to do it. But even early on, and then as I started to recover, the whole time I knew that this really was helping me. Like I looked at who I was before and all the transformation that happened for where this illness took me, and everything I had to let go of. It really was a gift. So my advice would be, try to look at what this experience is giving you. I know it's taking a lot, and it's a really difficult, challenging experience. But you know, you find yourself in in this situation. There's no point in fighting it. You know, this is what you're dealing with. You've got this condition that you're dealing with, and where don't fight it. Try to embrace it and look at what it's giving. You know, like what are you getting from this, and try to follow that. And it's going to be different for everyone. As I said, like I had the opportunity. You know, I wasn't in a family, and I wasn't supporting other people, so I could take the space I needed to myself. But it's going to look different for you. You know, it's not just because you're in a, like, I don't know, if your situation is different to mine, it doesn't mean that you can't find what this illness is giving you. It's just going to look different for you, and it's going to be, as I've said so many times, it's personal. It's like everything I'm saying, I'm just sharing my experience, and then maybe something is relevant to your experience in your personal way. So yeah, just like in a broader term, yeah, try to see how you can embrace this and what it is giving you, and follow that, and what you need to let go of. You know, what is keeping you stuck, what is making this worse than it needs to be, and it's generally going to be your reaction to it in some way, because you're holding on to something. Yeah, when you can really start to embrace this and just like let go of your old life and take what this illness is giving you and follow it to where it's taking you, it maybe can become something really, how do you put it? Like for me, it was so transformative, and it's like I would take this 1,000 times again. Like it's the most. I wouldn't wish this on anybody else. Like it is so tough, and nobody like I wouldn't wish anybody to go through this. But for what it has done for me, I'm very grateful for where it's taken me, and yeah, it just left me with nowhere else to turn except the one place I needed to go. Like everything else got cut off until I just had to turn inward, and it was the best possible thing for me. So yeah, I hope that something I said can maybe help someone else.